All right. Anyway, hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to this episode. There was a lot that happened before we hit record here. A lot, actually, even before the last record.
Yeah.
First off, happy Valentine's Day.
Very
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy
Valentine's Day.
I have a red ring, a red watch.
Red shirt, red car.
Red car.
Red car.
There you go. Shall we go through this?
Let's do it.
I am well read on this conversation.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Okay. Gotta act like it never happened. Anyway, I am joined by my wife.
The love of your life.
Don't just stop laughing at that joke. Linda, James, and
Hello.
by producer Tom.
Yes.
Tom.
Hello.
Not a top producer, not a low producer, just a producer.
Yeah.
Right down the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We have so much, honestly, we have so much to talk about. It's been so long. We have not seen each other in 5 weeks. 5 weeks. Yep.
Yes.
Been a while since you've been here. 5 weeks since we have seen each other.
Which might be crazy for some people.
Yeah.
Tom.
Or as Tom calls it, the joy of his life. If I was gone for 5 weeks, he'd be like, oh, God.
I have to say, Tom, so you have an assistant. Mm-hmm. Okay. Her name is Kat.
I feel like you're educating me right now.
No, her name
You
is Kat.
have an assistant.
Jared has an assistant. Her
Yes.
name is Kat. If
Yes.
you ever want to get a hold of Jared, you have to go through Kat.
Yes.
She is the gatekeeper to everything.
That she
Okay.
runs my
Even
schedule.
if you email him, let me just tell you, it's going to get forwarded to Kat. Okay, you're not going to get through. But anyways.
Well, she's on a roll today, isn't she?
Tom, this guy,
my
I
dog.
haven't been here for 5 weeks, but this guy, Jared will call him, text him any time of the day, weekends, doesn't really matter. And Tom is always like punctual. He'll answer it. Yep. He might not process anything that Jared said, but he's very much on.
I don't know why this is so funny to you. Okay.
He's very much on point.
Sometimes, you know?
So Tom has a really important job. He's not only a producer, but he's also like another
He's like
assistant to
he's-
you.
I
Like
would call him right hand, but I'm
things going.
left-handed.
Right.
Left.
So what I'm hearing is that's just been an insult this entire time.
Oh gosh.
That's right. Whenever I say you're my right-handed
Just
man,
backhanded.
yeah, what that means is I feel completely awkward and don't need you.
Anyways, Tom, you're more than a producer to us,
If
so
you all could
thank
see
you.
how hard Tom is laughing right now.
Oh
It's so
gosh.
good. It's so good. Anyway, yes. Joined by producer Tom.
Yes,
we do have so much to talk about, though. There's so many things that have happened in the industry. We'll have some fun like we usually do.
Yeah.
We got some stuff I guess you want to talk about. You always are good at throwing some curveballs.
Oh, yeah.
And doing that stuff. But I want to start off
Yes.
this episode by saying, well, first off, happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you, baby. Same to you.
My love.
Thank you.
Okay.
What's
it
so
feels weird if we
interesting?
just break
What's
away
so
that.
interesting about Valentine's? Sorry, I know you're going into
Yeah.
it. I asked Tom, what are you doing for Valentine's today?
I'm cooking, and then I am. We're just chilling. We're just kind of. That's pretty much.
Do you
all
do
we're
the
doing.
whole like flowers and chocolate and a gift and like you have to do
we
something?
don't really like. So yeah, we're both in alignment that we don't really like flowers.
Okay, so you don't
So
like
it's-
receiving flowers either.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's good
Linda
to
doesn't
know.
either,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
Linda doesn't either.
I think it's a waste of money. I think
By the way, so practical. I love this take.
it will die, and I don't have a green thumb.
She's like, why go
So-
spend $100 on flowers when they were $14 yesterday?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're gonna die in 3 days.
And quite honestly, yesterday or 2 weeks ago, probably would make me a little sorry.
Because I meant
Make
it.
me feel a little more special because
Yeah.
you thought about it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Ladies.
I know. It's better you say it than
To
me.
each their own.
Yeah. Yeah, this is when the wives
It's
tell their
not as
husbands to
special
not
when
watch the
it's
show
not
anymore.
as special when it's on a calendar and everyone else is doing it.
Yeah.
And you know, no offense to the guys that ran out there today. I was at TJ Maxx looking for something, and everyone was at Trader Joe's running out of their out
They're all
there
trying to figure out how to not get in trouble.
Oh yeah.
That's all they're doing. They're just making sure they don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
Like that is now yours also has another meaning too. You were in previous relationships where flowers were like a way of saying sorry.
It was a boyfriend. Yeah.
Yeah,
boyfriend
and
I
so
had.
you have started to associate the idea of flowers as like
you're making up for something.
oh, what'd you do wrong? Like
Right.
what'd you do? Whatever. You are much more the person who's like, you know, hey, you would love it if we made dinner together, or like
I'm
we're gonna go to
quality
our
time
spot
and
tonight, or
words of
let's watch a
affirmation.
movie,
Yeah.
let's cuddle up, you know, make me a fire, like you know
Yeah.
that kind of a thing. Which I so appreciate. And I just want to be clear for everybody, and I'm not being like politically correct, but I do mean this. For some of you, that's not the case. Like for some of you, like ladies out there, for example, you love getting the flowers, and maybe it's you know, and you love getting the good for you. That's awesome. Literally, like, I'm not taking that from you. I think that's awesome. For us personally, like, I think one of the reasons why we're so aligned is because we're actually aligned on this. You know, like, it is, it's just not something, and I'm so glad you're like this, because literally buying the flowers, it meant nothing to me to go and do it. It's just like a way to not get in trouble in a relationship. And I love the fact that we, you know, don't, you know, unless we want to, or there's something specific we want to do, we generally are not doing birthday gifts and Christmas gifts. And, you know, the calendar says it's time to buy this. And the calendar says, like, we really do live a life where it's like, hey, you feel like doing that, or hey, that was so cool that you did this, or hey, you know, whatever. And so everybody's different, you know, that's fine. But I love that you're like that. Like, I really do. It's one of my favorite things about you.
Just chill, easy going. And honestly, you would think I would expect more, like living in California and, you know, half here, half there.
Yeah.
But no, I'm
well, you like it, like one birthday or one thing, or I think one Valentine's, or I forget what day it was. Like Uber Eats over like coffee for you and hot chocolate for the kids. And like,
oh my God, that was fun.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff I think you appreciate, because
Yeah.
it's a little different, you know. And look, some of you out there and you're like, what'd that cost? $15? And I'm like, well, it's California. It was $150.
Yeah.
No, but it's like, no, but it's the thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's absolutely the thought. And that hot chocolate lasted about as long as the flowers.
I know.
You know, but
Smelled
it's
better,
like,
too.
that's the kind of stuff that you like, is those kind of things. And so I always love that. And then there'll be random things, like we're in Mexico and, you know, we're looking at, you know, I got a watch, and then we were looking at stuff and you're like, I don't need to, I don't have to. And there was like 2 or 3 different things. And I'm like, oh, let's just get it all. And you're like, huh? Like, what do you mean? I'm like, whatever, let's just do it.
Yeah.
Now, it could have been the rosé, because they do in Mexico.
Oh my
they bring
gosh.
over plenty of rosé when you're looking at jewelry. Here, you know. If you don't buy anything, they make you spit it up. But like, that's the kind of stuff where it's like, I want to do that. You want, it's like, oh my God, that's so, you know, whatever. And there's those kind of things that happen, but then there's just not like the scheduled,
Absolutely.
you better have.
We are doing dinner tonight.
Yep.
Nothing fancy. One of our favorite locals here in Connecticut. Sit at the bar. We class it up. Sit
Always.
at the bar.
I love sitting
and
at
we
the
just
bar.
have a good time. It's not like
That's another reason why we're coming. Like, we love sitting at the bar.
Yeah.
That's the best.
Whether we're having a drink or not, we like sitting at the bar.
I sat at the bar for the first time with my son the other day. We did a tour. I was doing an event in Pensacola. We were looking at colleges all over Florida. And so everybody's out there, because I got all these messages from people. My feelings on college have not changed. Let's be very clear.
Oh, you got messages about it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. When I post about the tour, they're like, oh, so you're giving in. And I'm like,
you're
guys, my mentality and my son's mentality on college are not that he's going to get a degree and now he's going to do better. Literally, he's looking at these various colleges and he's looking at lifestyle, and he's like, it'd be really cool to experience this community and like just the college. Like, the campuses are amazing. Yeah. And he's like, I just want to know that I experienced this in my life, you know? And he's like, whether that happens for a year, 4 years, I don't know. But I don't want to look back and, you know, say that I didn't do it. And I so agree with that. I'm like, awesome. Then let's go look at these places.
Oh my gosh, real quick though. Okay, so if you said, how much is it for one of those colleges? Just throw a number out. Throw a number out.
$84,000 a year.
Okay, Grayson, here's $84,000. I'll give you
Tom just about dropped his.
Grayson, here's
That's per year.
$84,000. I'll give you every year, or the experience. Do you think he would go after the experience or the $84,000? Does he want it that bad, the experience that bad?
That kid loves that money. That kid.
I would
That's
go after the
that
money
kid's
too.
so
I don't
afraid
care
of
about
not
the
being
experience.
successful. He wants that money.
That's so interesting.
But I'm not giving him that option, because I do think there is something about the experience. I do think there's something about the social. And I've said this all along.
Well,
this
you
is
went
not
to
inconsistent.
college. Was your experience as like fun
I did not have
and
the college
exciting?
experience, babe. I'm the wrong guy to ask. I worked full time while I was doing it. I was selling real estate while I was going to school.
Okay.
I finished school at night just so that someday I would have to tell my kids that they had to go. I had different feelings back then. But you know, people think that, again, I think I got these messages from people and they think I'm being inconsistent. I have said all along, go back and watch the video, guys. I've said all along that unless you're going there for the experience and that's what you think you're experiencing and that's what you're, you know, whatever, that's what it's going to be. Like, that's it. And if that's what you're going for, awesome. If you're going there thinking it's going to be some huge, you know, advantage to what, no. And he and I are both in that same place. So anyway, so my point is we had an amazing time in Florida. An 18-year-old could sit at the bar. So I brought him to his first ever nice steakhouse with a cowboy ribeye that cost just about what a year of college costs. Yep. And we loved it. And he did the wedge that you and I split, which he didn't want. And then he was like, this is delicious. He's like, I got to start doing this. I'm like, just trust me. Get what I get. I'm telling you, I know what I'm doing here.
Everywhere they go, Tom, all the boys get the same thing as Jared. They all get the same thing.
Yeah, it's true. Nice. It's weird.
It's very.
Weird.
I think
I
it's
didn't
weird.
force that. Yeah, it's weird. But they all, and
weird.
we don't mean to. We
We're
all
gonna
look
get
at
it.
the
We're gonna
menu,
get it.
and then they come over, and we're like, da-ding, da-ding, da-ding.
Everything is the same.
Same thing.
I always feel like I had to order the same thing too.
Yeah, I won't lie to you. It is a little strange,
It's very
and we
weird.
don't plan it. It just is what it is. So we did that. Potatoes au gratin, amazing.
Oh, heck yeah.
It was amazing. And so we went from Miami to Florida Atlantic to University of Tampa to Florida State to Florida to, whatever. And I already ruled out I'm not letting him go to Miami. I just think there's too many influences, too many things there. Florida State, we partied during the Super Bowl, had a blast. Not for him, though. He's a lot like me in the sense that, this, I can get up and go have a good time. I don't want to do it every night. It's like, get up for that. But then the next day, it's like, let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's do it. He doesn't want to do that for a semester.
Yeah.
So we all know colleges, there's parties, but then there's ones that are known for partying. And he doesn't want to do every night you're pressured to go partying type of thing. Florida Atlantic in Boca Raton, holy crap.
Yeah.
Not only is
Boca Raton sounds like some random,
Oh.
like one stoplight city.
Oh, it is.
Like Boca
No,
Raton
it's not a
sounds like
one-stoplight city. It's a nice city in Florida. Right next to Delray, right next to Fort Lauderdale, right next to... You fly into the air. There's direct flights right from here. And not only is the campus gorgeous, huge football stadium, Division I athletics. They do all sorts of, what's it called, where you're out in the parking lot, tailgating and everything.
Oh, yeah.
You're a mile to the beach like you're at a resort. Nice. And there's running tracks and whatever. I'm like, I want to go to college for this. Yeah. Like, this is crazy. And then Tampa we liked as well because it had a cool atmosphere, great pool, but then you walk right into the city. So it's kind of a mixture of both. There was a lot of pluses and minuses. But my point was you said sitting at the bar. Me and my boy got to sit at the bar, which was a
They actually
really,
allow that there?
Yeah, 18 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, apparently it's just Connecticut and stuff doesn't. But
Well, I mean,
but if you're not
not in
drinking, why
California
can you sit
either.
in the bar area but not at the bar?
That's so frustrating.
We're not bringing you a drink.
Wait, were you at the bar?
At the bar.
At the bar. Oh, yeah, that's different. You don't do that in California either
Why can't you?
because he's underage.
We're not serving him alcohol.
There was one time I couldn't
But
even
it's
get
like asking to be going to a club that's 21 and over. Don't worry, I'm not going to be drinking. No, it doesn't matter.
I don't agree with that assessment at all.
Yeah, there was like one time at the casino I couldn't even order a Pepsi at the bar. They said I couldn't even go in there.
Yeah.
Some places want you to.
But think
order
about this.
drinks.
I can go into Chili's with them. I can sit in the bar area
Yeah.
at a high top,
That's
3 feet
fine.
from the bar.
Yeah.
I can order drinks.
Yeah.
They're not going to. They're kids. They're 18. But we can't go 3 feet over, sit at the bar top, order the food. I get a drink. They get their normal water and whatever. It's different now.
I think
That's
a lot
ridiculous.
Of it, I think a lot of it are business owners too. So like our place that we go to tonight, she specifically said it's her rule.
But no, it's not. It's Connecticut. They didn't know. Remember we had to look it up?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, remember we were talking to them?
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah,
though.
we had to actually look it up because they didn't know. They were like, I think, I'm not sure, I'm not whatever. But like at the end of the day, like you're 18, as long you're not serving them. If they asked for a drink, you'd ask for a license. Why can't they eat right there? I know you're going. I don't agree at all.
Yeah, I'm
like
opposite
it makes
of
no
that.
sense to me.
Yeah.
But in Florida,
Not a
we
problem.
sat at the bar every went. It was awesome. Like,
He's like, go to Florida State so we can
that was
sit at the
great
bar.
though. Like, no, but I'm just saying, even from the experience, like the last night we ate at, nobody was drinking or anything. We just ate at a Mexican place. We sat at the bar. We're watching sports, talking to the bartender, like you and I do. There's no reason he couldn't be there. Like, anyway, I digress. We have a lot to talk about. First off, congratulations. You were named as an Riz Media
Riz
news maker.
Media.
As a futurist.
Thank you.
Which is so freaking
And you're
cool.
an influencer.
I was there as an influencer. I was
You need to highlight that. We're both recognized.
Yeah, but you and I have talked about this. Agreed. It's a little different. So like I got named to that, and then I got the Swanepoel 200, and I didn't say anything about it. I didn't even announce it. And it's just because I don't know how to put it in a way that's whatever, but like you doing it, I think is super cool, and that's why I did the post with both of us. I think that's awesome. For me, it is definitely an acknowledgement of a lot of hard work and everything else. But I don't know. It just feels like it's like if I wasn't named next year, I'd still be completely fine. It doesn't change.
Yeah.
You know, there's just so much of it that's just popularity contest and, you know, that kind of stuff. And so for you as a newcomer, this is your second year now, I like it because it means that they're actually noticing you, which is awesome.
I feel like I'm doing something right.
Yeah. And that I love. Like that is like, I think that's so super cool. But what I loved about it, so you know, we just went through the first year. It's crazy to think about this, but 1 year of FyrstUp. And I got a chance. So that means startup 1 year. And anybody who's ever had a startup 1 year in compared to the beginning is so much different. I got a chance because I'm not as involved as I was in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because we were 100% financed by ourselves, startup. We didn't go out to outside investment, so I need to know what's going on. I was with the investor, with the developers. I'm a part of everything.
Yeah,
like
we were
you know,
part of it.
and then as it goes on, you take over with the team, and it's like you're meeting with them, and you're like asking me things here and there, but you're running stuff now. I got a chance to sit in a meeting yesterday with you and the team and kind of see the changes and see where things are going. And I'm sitting there, and I'm not gonna lie, like I'm sitting in that meeting and I'm watching the app. First off, the app now compared to the beginning is night and day.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, is that the same? Holy crap. But it was so simple and so clean. And when you look at the features you guys have added, I'm literally sitting there going, if I started a brokerage tomorrow, step one would be I'd have everybody in my company using this app. Like it'd be a no-brainer. And then I'm just thinking, how does every brokerage in North America, are they not using this to the fullest? You know, we started off by saying that, oh, it's the digital whiteboard, you know, which it is, no doubt about it. But my God, the ability of that app to not only have everybody listing, whether Clear Cooperation sticks around or not, still fully relevant, but the ability to take that thing and to have your listings coming on before they hit the market, like they would used to hit the whiteboard, completely compliant manner, to have buyer matching happening. So now there's communication going on within your office, and there's potential in-house deals that are happening. There's also communication that's happening, and there's feedback coming on these listings before they hit the market. And there's all these other things. But then you look at the open house feature, where it's not only serving the experienced agents, but also the newer or less busy agents, to where you see all the open houses, you see the ones that needs to be hosted. So now the people who need business are requesting to host open houses. The experienced one who have 8 open houses this weekend and need help, rather than putting it in a big group text or a Facebook group and hoping to God, wishing upon a star someone sees it, they're getting that out to everybody in the company in a 2025 way, you know, a way that actually works the world we live in. And then you guys added this vendor directory, or what did you call it? You just call it your directory?
It's a directory. So basically it allows companies to have their ancillary services on their partners, like local partners on there and showcase.
Yeah.
So now you have other companies that you are working with, agents are working with, getting visibility on an app also, which also could be another source of revenue for a brokerage.
I was about to say, now a broker could technically get paid more than what they're paying for the tool and give ultimate visibility to the right vendors. And I'm like, I was sitting at me and I'm going, this is a no-brainer. Yeah. Like, I need to start mentioning this more. Like, this is, you know, and then you get these companies that, like, ones that were in the beginning and jumped off, and you're like, you need to be back on. It's not the same tool.
What were you thinking?
And then you also see, what was crazy to me watching you guys in the meeting was, like, you have companies that have such a, what's up, buddy? What's up? Grayson just walked in, so everybody knows. How we doing, kid? You missed the most important. I talked about the colleges, and by the way, he has a Florida Atlantic shirt on right now, which is too funny. Anyway, do your thing. So you've got this situation where it's like, listening to you guys talk, you've got these places that have ultimate buy-in, and like everybody's using it, and everybody's doing, you know, whatever. And then you've got these places where, like, they don't get any buy-in, and they're like, well, we're just going to get rid of it. Nobody's using it. And you realize how much it comes from the top, and you're like, do you realize what you're missing out on here?
I know.
This is not smart. Like, this isn't a check-the-box tool. It's making you money. Like, literally, the agents are communicating outside of, you know, the office where they're all hanging out. Like, it's anyway, it was cool to be in that meeting.
Any tech product, any product that you adopt to bring into your brokerage or any business in general, if it's not supported and adopted from the top, it's not going to be successful. Period. Yeah. Meaning that one of our top clients, they
one of our biggest.
They've asked, you know, what are your best practices? Great, thanks for asking. Eliminate every other opportunity, like eliminate your Facebook page. Don't do that. Don't enter buyer wants and needs on there. Don't use the whiteboard on there. Eliminate your whiteboard off your office. Get rid of the Excel
Use
spreadsheet.
that for other things. Do not use it to communicate your listings.
You have to require it.
Yeah.
It's a part of the checklist of what you do when you secure a listing.
Yeah.
Right. And if you want to properly expose a listing to for the seller.
Yeah.
This is what you need to do. They've done that and they have the highest adoption. It's one of the largest accounts we have.
Like literally people would post in the Facebook group or the
agents.
group text thread and they'd be like, this isn't where it belongs. Please go put it in FyrstUp.
And this is thousands of agents.
Yeah.
Yet I can have a client that has 15 agents, 30, and they just can't figure it out.
They're like, what's going on?
And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Or how about those ones who are like 15, 100 people, whatever it is, and they won't let you do anything?
Oh yeah.
Like we'll handle it. We're going to handle. And then they come back in 6 months, 8 months, and they're like, there's just no adoption. And you're sitting here going, McFly, duh. Mm-hmm. We keep telling you we know what we're doing. Let us handle this.
There has to be a point too. Like a part of me is like, if you are not going to allow us to roll out the product for your success and your agent's success, then maybe we pull back and say, you know what, this is probably not a good fit, and say, best of luck, and so on.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing product. What we're also doing right now, which is it should be done by next week, and we haven't announced any of it just yet.
What is this?
I showed the team a little bit of the screens yesterday.
Okay.
But now, so a couple things. We do have the whole whiteboard, the directory now, the open house is there. We display broker compensation, which is a big thing. Now we are doing a lot of wholesaling, working with wholesalers. So we have a back end,
like investors,
a back end now that allows investors to really be using FyrstUp that kind of benefits them. But we have a client one of our clients out in the Canada area.
Yeah.
That suggested, which is really cool. So FyrstUp actually was built off of suggestions and agents' feedback. So this broker is like, hey, Linda, we love the product, but not because we have the whiteboard and showcasing listings, why don't we just showcase buyers?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, let's talk about this. And he's like, well, everyone plugs in their buyers. We have buyer searches built in and buyer profiles built in. Why don't we showcase them but eliminate their personal information? And just have their buyer IDs displayed for everyone to see. So
like
now we have
what the wish list is kind of.
So now we have a list of listings that are coming out, and we have a list of buyer wants and needs, and we could toggle between the two, and we're showcasing both sides now. To really build momentum for the product. And I loved that idea. So now we're building and scaling that. Should be out in the next week or so. But the product is like really now has evolved into something that's really bigger. And
yeah,
better
I was telling Joe, like not only,
efficient.
so obviously I think it's a must for every single brokerage in North America, but like beyond that, I think like the next phase is like roll that out to RIAs, Real Estate Investors Associations. Like every RIA in the country should be using that, as the place, because they're still using their emails and all this kind of stuff to say, here's a new property, here's a new wholesale opportunity, here's a new flip, here's a new, and it goes out to the investor list and they're like, is this for anybody? And they see if they reply. When you could literally, as part of the membership of that RIA, put the members who are paying on the FyrstUp app, and now you have a place, a one solid place with notifications and with matching and everything else, where their buyers are on there, their wholesale properties, their flip properties, their cash flow properties.
They don't have to worry about clear cooperation.
Yeah, like such a that's like the next place to go with that. In my mind.
think that is one of like the heartaches for me is that we have agents literally wanting the tool, but we have to be like, oh,
gotta talk to your broker.
Sorry, it's a B2B. Like we have to get your broker's buy-in. If your broker doesn't buy in, that we can't really support you. And that it just kills me because as an MLS exec or past MLS exec, I want to support all agents. And so for me, you look at Clear Co-op and you're like, yeah, we're all about clear cooperation. And I'm like, well, shoot. I want to support agents as much as possible, and this tool could do that on a larger scale.
It's a bit of a roadblock for you.
Clear cooperation is a roadblock.
I know.
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, you're totally right. But thank you so much for recognizing the.
I'm obviously one of the founders. I thought it was cool being in that meeting, and I'm like, shoot, that's actually really good. Like that's crazy. I would literally, I mean this with everything in me. If I started a brokerage tomorrow, I would literally be like, okay, we're starting with this. Everybody's starting on this. This is mandatory. This is what we're doing. Like, you want to talk about being in the new age of like the way of technology and what's best for the consumer? That'd be a step one for me right off the bat. But anyway, other things since our last podcast, been a lot of changes.
There are some big stuffs. One of our dear friends.
What? What happened?
One of our dear friends resigned.
Oh, you mean from Remax?
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
from
Amy.
Remax.
Amy.
Which we love.
We love Amy. Yeah, Amy stepped down as the president of Remax.
Yeah.
I know you guys have been texting. She's been doing some interesting stuff.
Oh, she's living her
Are we
life.
not allowed to say?
I don't even know. But she's living her life, and the photos that she sends are just beautiful, like on her.
She's doing Boardrow. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my god.
Amy, you know I love you. That's not true, though.
No,
Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
You know, everyone looks at like, oh, something must have happened, or oh, this or that.
She's
She
wanting to live her
is
life.
just so
She's out
happy.
hunting and she's on
so-
horses.
Literally, she's
and
like going to different states and hunting and
Yeah.
riding her horses, enjoying. She lives in Denver.
she's a walking
enjoying-
Old Spice commercial.
She
She's on a
is-
horse.
Oh my god, yeah, I love it.
Tom
so,
got
I did. I loved that. Dude, that
but-
was my commercial.
but that was a big thing because she wasn't even in the position for a year.
Yeah.
You know? And then now you're going, this is exactly what happened last year. You know, Nick Bailey left.
Who?
Yeah, left. And then all of a sudden R4 came around.
Yeah.
You're like, oh gosh, this is weird, awkward. What, like, how do we feel? And then Amy, we love Amy. So we obviously supported her. We
Yeah.
were there. Hard worker. And then now you're like, oh, resigned. Oh, R4's around the corner.
And
You're like, here we go again.
And then
Like, what
also,
the heck?
Christopher Alexander, president at
Yes,
Remax Canada, resigned, who's also, somebody you've dealt with a lot.
And he's been very connected with, although he's in Canada, like with Denver, the
Yeah.
headquarters too. And so now
I'm not doing R4
he's
this year.
removed.
Funny enough, I'm in Vegas the exact same time as R4.
So everyone,
that's gonna be funny. Yeah.
Remax, if you want to see Jared, where are you going
I'm
to be?
not
I'm
gonna
just
tell
kidding.
him. I'm not gonna tell him,
No.
but I will
No,
be
but
there.
yeah, you're not going to be at R4
I'll be in
this
Vegas.
year.
Maybe I'll try to head on over where they are. We'll see, because I just heard a friend is going to be there as well. So
Swing by, say hi.
yeah, we shall see. But I'm doing a different conference while I'm there. We've had a lot going on. I just signed a deal also. I do these kind of deals all the time, but like for anybody listening who's with EXP, I'm doing a monthly training for you guys. Leo, your CEO, is a friend of mine, and we finally made it work after months and months of what can we do together? What can we do together? Finally made it work now, where I'm going to do monthly trainings now whenever possible. That was kind of the caveat, is that sometimes it's tough because they do the same time every month for what this particular training. Leo and I are going to do something different each month for their membership, and it's hopefully every single month, but it's really when I'm available, meaning like sometimes I might be doing it from a hotel room, but if I'm in flight or on a stage, I can't do it. I've already seen a couple months I can't, but if you're a part of EXP, that'll be rolled out real soon. I think we're doing our first call next week. So that'll be cool. And as you guys know, I'm brand agnostic. I also just did a thing, hasn't been rolled out yet, but I'm doing once a quarter also with Remax International. On their Remax University. That'll be rolled out soon. Don't know if that was announced yet or not, but there it is. Doing the ERA
Jared
convention
seems to
coming
be
up.
doing this a lot. Our staff yesterday said, let me just say this. We are finishing our meeting. Sorry to pause, everyone. We finished our meeting yesterday with FyrstUp. And then Joe, just a little antsy. No, there's like okay, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. That's what he says.
Said, how dare you speak to my wife like that?
I'm not an elephant.
Okay.
He's like, are you moving? He literally asked if we're moving.
Yeah.
If you're moving, not me, you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they've been
And he's
asking
like,
me for
Really?
months.
I'm not
Yeah,
moving.
and they don't believe you.
We
because
gotta.
they
Well,
did that-
believe
I mean,
me.
technically,
At all.
because
No.
when I go to California, I live with her. But like, so we got a new house there.
It was so
Right.
funny because they don't
But
believe
no.
you because you're too loyal to Jared. So even if you knew, they
No
wouldn't.
such thing, Tom.
There's
No such
they're,
thing.
they're not going to believe you.
We did not.
And
at
then
all.
Jared's like, "What? I would tell you." Joe's like, "No."
And then they were like, and then this
actually.
came out, and we saw this, and then we saw this,
They're
and
like-
they're all putting it together
They
like they're
said no.
Inspector Gadget over here.
They said, "No, you wouldn't." And Jared's like, "Yeah, I would." He's like, "No, you've done things and not told us before." So this is to you, like, hey, if I'm not supposed to tell you, now you know.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There you
He's
go.
very like,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's exactly right.
spontaneous. You just never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, I want to take a moment and talk to you about a really cool company called Privy. If you were listening to this episode or even moving forward here, you're going to notice that I'm going to talk a lot about investors and how I think this is a huge part of the market that if you're growing a real estate business, we're not paying enough attention to. I'm a big believer here that sometimes to grow your business, you don't just have to pick up a piece of the pie that's already there. Sometimes you have to go to a completely different pie. And it's so interesting because when you look at it, you look at all the data and you see that, 26, 27%, almost 30% of all residential transactions in the last 12 months were investors, right? They were investors. And when I was an agent, like a ton of the business that I did were investors. And so a lot of you hear that and you're like, oh, it's institutional investors. Do you know institutional investors only make up about less than 3% of the overall market? And that's actually going down for the first time in years, which means that we have this huge number of people who are buying and selling properties all of the time, right under our nose, thousands of transactions. They're going to happen regardless. The only question is, are they happening with you? And that's the key thing that I want you to understand. And so when you look at Privy and what they do, they make you the go-to person to work with when it comes to finding investments, when it comes to finding out what a good deal is, when it comes to finding out what the right neighborhoods are, what the wrong neighborhoods are, what previous people had did, all at the touch of a button, right? And so all of a sudden, it's funny, I look at their stuff and I'm like, I worked with all these investors when I was selling real estate, and I'm like, how did I do this without this kind of a tool? And you don't have to do that. Now these kinds of tools are there. And so you're going to hear me in the future talking a lot about working with investors and what that looks like. And like I've said over and over again, it is my job to not only tell you what the problems are and what the solutions are, but ultimately to give you the tools that you need so that you can be the go-to source for something like that. And man, are these people worth a lot of money to you. So do yourself a favor, guys. Go to privy.pro. That's privy.pro. Amazing tool. You can ask us questions. There's more things even coming down the road with them that are just going to blow you away. But this is a tool you need in your business, especially for what it costs. It's not a cost, though. It's an investment, but it's well worth it. Let's start getting those investors. So yeah, I'm doing the ERA convention coming up in San Diego. Haven't done their conference in years. I'm doing United Country. I'm doing a 4-country tour of Europe coming up. I'm doing everything but moving.
I might get those 5 weeks after all.
Fresno.
Yeah,
What's going on?
exactly. God.
People on the West Coast, please hire Jared so he could go to
Oh,
Fresno.
there you go. Look at her
Please
looking at
hire
the
Jared.
camera.
Yeah.
I need to see my husband.
Yeah, all right.
I don't need you guys to be overseas.
Yeah, that's great.
Switched over to that angle.
No, the
for you.
best though is that people always try to hey, will you come in and just come in for free? You're going to be in Cali anyway, right? I'm like, I'm there for personal. But you're right down. No.
West Coast. We need West Coast hires.
I don't want to
please.
work. I want to go hang with my wife.
So
yeah.
ERA San Diego, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
ERA San Diego, that's right. Anyway, a lot of other things
But yeah,
have
you're
happened.
doing a lot.
We had TikTok taken down, put up, taken down, pressed down, shaken together. We don't know if it's going to come back down. All we do know is that a lot of you, when TikTok came down, you lost your what was it called? The editing app, Cut.
I never used it.
You know what it is. This is going to drive me crazy. CapCut. Lost
CapCut.
CapCut, which I believe is back up. But all of you listening right now, make sure you're going on the App Store, whether you're with Google or whether you're with Apple, and download the Edits app. That's the one coming from Meta that is supposed to be amazing. It's going to be released any week now, so make sure you go do that. You download it, and then it lets you know when it's formally available. But with that whole TikTok thing coming down, going back up, it actually wasn't the worst thing in the world, because what happened as a result of that, this is what I love about a free market in a competitive world, is that everyone else had to step up their game to try and get that market share. So what happened? Meta, who would only allow for 60-second reels and 90-second reels, and YouTube, that only allowed for 60-second YouTube shorts, and like all these other places. Instagram is now 3 minutes, up to 3 minutes on reels. They doubled, because they're trying to pull that traffic over from TikTok. YouTube Shorts went from 60 seconds to 3 minutes because they had to try to compete. And it's a beautiful thing. I love it, because it makes it easier. It's tough to keep sometimes a really important message in such a short amount of time. But they also adjusted their algorithm. This was the part that most people aren't paying attention to, is that Meta adjusted their algorithm to be much more like TikTok. And you and I were talking about this the other day. And you were saying how many of our friends, influencer friends and such, are like, the reach on Instagram sucks. I don't know what happened, but it's no good anymore. Like, what's happening right now? Here's what's happened. TikTok has always been the place where you could put up your first post and get thousands of views if it's good. You could have a ton of followers and get no views if it's no good. Meta is not at a place where followers don't matter, but they matter much less now. And what that means is that they're doing it much more off of the quality of the content. And so they're looking at your pool of people and they're delivering it to 20% of your followers. And they have these little things that are like thumbs up, thumbs downs as far as like the things in their algorithm that triggers this. And I'm not going to go through them all right now, but I've actually read up on it and seen what it is. And then it passes through phase one and it either gets turned down or it gets passed on to the next level. And when it goes on to the next level, which is now non-followers, it again, thumbs up, thumbs down based on a bunch of different factors. And then it decides whether it goes viral or it gets shut down. And so when all of this stuff happened, what wasn't paid attention to was that Meta actually went and started looking at, in an effort to take that traffic from TikTok, they also changed their algorithm and they're making it a lot more like TikTok, where it is way more about the quality of the content you put out than the number of followers you've amassed. And so for all those influencers out there that like, hey, you know, Instagram sucks now for whatever. No, your content sucks. Because I'll put out stuff now with the number of followers I have that freaking crushes. And then I'll put stuff out there and I'm like, this thing on? What's going on right now? And it's like, oh, it turns out it didn't pass the test of what was good and what wasn't. And the beauty for that is for all of you out there, the high majority of you that listen to me and have nowhere near as many followers as me, you have just as much opportunity to get the views. You just got to put out quality content.
Okay, so what happens when you put out one that just...
It stalls. Doesn't go anywhere.
Should we delete it? Get rid of it and continue to try to find the algorithm, or just leave it there and keep on adding some more content?
Most real estate people should leave it right there, because if they think it was a good message, it becomes part of their library. And what I mean by that is that regardless of the amount of views, all it takes is one video with a lot of views that brings people over to your platform. And when they come over to your platform, that video that didn't take off, if it had a valuable message, even if it didn't hit all the triggers that makes it take off, it's now a part of your library that person now takes in, isn't educated by.
Do you feel like it makes it more difficult to have a social page that you're trying to pull in personal brand and business then? Because not a lot of your personal content is really going to matter to the masses.
Not necessarily. That's not necessarily true. In fact, your personal stuff, if you're mixing with business stuff, will matter. Like,
I'm saying that. I mean, you're not probably going to get, I don't know, maybe.
Well, first of all, personal stuff is never going to get the same attraction as a viral video that is meant for the masses, because personal content is not meant for the masses unless it is distributed in a way that is meant for the masses. For example,
like mindset or parenting, or
you and I are about to do a video where we're going to have fun and we're going to answer questions about each other for Valentine's Day. That has mass appeal, because whether it is people who know us and love us and go, I want to hear this answer. People who love us and hate us and they go, I want to hear this answer. People who don't know us at all, but they watch it and they go, oh, this seems interesting. And they like the camaraderie of what's happening in that video. It has mass appeal. What doesn't have as much mass appeal is a picture of your son getting on the school bus.
Oh, my son's cute.
No one said your son wasn't cute. Okay, but you see what I'm saying? Once you get to that second layer, it gets past the followers and goes into non-followers, it's going to dud out. Yeah. So it doesn't have the same ceiling that an overall message has.
I wonder if,
Does that make sense?
The reason why I ask this is because I don't, is everyone going to get worried now? Like, oh my gosh, I only got 7 likes. Oh my gosh, I only got
Like they weren't
35.
worried about that yesterday?
I'm going to delete
They weren't worried about that yesterday?
No, I mean, like,
what changed?
It's just, exactly. So, hey, if your content you put up sucks, it sucks. Move on to the next one. Leave it there.
What is one of my number one rules for social?
I don't know.
Post with no expectation of result.
Yeah.
Divorce yourself from result. I said it at the social mastermind. I say it all the time. At the end of the day, a video posted with minimal views, minimal likes is more powerful and has more impact than no video posted at all. Mm-hmm. That's it. If it is a complete dud and goes to 71 people, go sit 71 people in a room and tell me that doesn't matter. Like, you have to literally think of it like that, right? Mm-hmm. And even if you post it and it has 3 views, still applies. You got 3 people. That's awesome. That's more than you would have had by doing nothing. Mm-hmm. You know what? You know how much people would get paid if they would just talk to 3 people every day? It'd be pretty amazing. But even in that situation, the win that you have is to say library. Mm-hmm. I am building my library. And that other video that did bring people in, it's now going to bring them to my profile, which is going to show them my library. And now that video is going to have an impact down the road beyond when I thought it was going to. So it's the gift that keeps on giving. Mm-hmm. Make sense?
Yeah.
So it always matters. I mean, I showed you that video I put up the other day. It had 1 point something million views. 91% were non-followers. And you look at the number of people, the thousands of new followers, the people who went to my profile, the thing that It literally didn't have anything to do with the number of followers I have to begin with. It's about the quality of the content. When you see something with 91% non-followers, that is something everyone could be doing, because that's the platform going, this is valuable. This is what we want our people to see. You have to remember that these platforms, everyone who's on the platforms, are those platforms' consumer. And each platform wants their consumer to have a good experience. So they're looking at you like you have a social credit score and going, can we trust you with our people? If we put your stuff in front of our people, are they going to have a good experience? Are they going to want to come back to us? And the more you put out and the more of the credit you build up with the quality of the content you put out, the more they trust you even before doing a full check to be like, show it to people. That's why I can put up a post that sucks and get a bunch of likes and views in the first 10 minutes. It's because they're building off of my social credit score and going, hey, we're not sure yet, but we're pretty sure, because everything he puts out, they tend to like. And so you only do that through consistency, though. So whether you're me, whether you're a local agent, whether you're a local business person, it's all part of the game. Consistency is undefeated.
Heard that
Many
somewhere.
times have we
I don't
said
know.
this in all areas, okay? And so I think that sometimes we don't think about enough the idea that these platforms have consumers, which is all of us, and they want us to have a great experience, but it's also us who's creating the content for that experience.
Yeah.
And we have to think on the level of the experience of that customer on their platform every time we create something, and not so much on what am I going to look like, what am I going to get, you got to change that focus. You got to JFK that thing. See what I'm saying? Like, that's ultimately what it means. Ask not what
Okay.
you can do for your country, what you can do.
Oh, okay.
I didn't mean like shoot it in the
I was
head.
just about to say, I was like, wait,
that
hold
got dark
on a
real
second.
quick. I was like, in my head, I'm like, whew.
By the way, did you see they released those files? Two shooters.
Yeah.
We're not going to go over that today. Maybe this is a separate podcast, but for all of you out there forever, they're about this magic bullet, and you're like, it couldn't have been. There's no way it was Oswald by himself. The files were released. 2 shooters. That's a whole different podcast on its own. Anyway, does that make sense? Like,
It does now.
Like the social side of things. Divorce yourself from result. By the way, I'm going to announce soon another social media mastermind.
Nice.
And it's probably more relevant than ever because things have changed so much. And it's for those
Who knows
that
if
get
TikTok
it,
will still be around by then?
it's going to be such a dominating
Or not.
factor.
Things
For
will
those that
change.
understand social media, which is really modern day marketing, my God, you have a lever you can switch to just be in front of people all day, every day. You know, and if I can do it, you can do it. I could start with an account with nothing, like I did, by the way. I started where everybody else did, and get to exactly where I am and beyond. Because once you understand the algorithm, when you understand what those platforms are looking for, it's the gift that keeps on giving. You know, and we're gonna do at the next mastermind, we're gonna do a master class on that. And those that get it, I have like so much to say about this, but I'm like gonna hold it back. But like, I've been studying this thing, like this just how it works.
You should bring in someone from Meta. That's what you should do.
Zuckerberg or nobody.
Oh,
That's what I say.
Yeah.
okay.
Him or nobody.
And if he's in the area, we could just ask him to come in for free. I think,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you
do
go.
that.
If he's there with his family.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
happening visiting.
Tom with the jokes. I like it. I actually like it. Other things happened, which so cool for what it means. You know, Compass released Compass One, and it's what we call like a CET, a client experience technology. And it's so interesting when a place like Compass releases this, which is absolutely necessary because it not only brings search, pre-listing, pre-market listings, all these things, but it brings the idea of a client portal where you are now bringing in your clients into the experience to where they're not saying anymore, my agent doesn't do anything. They're seeing what you're doing, and they've got an app, and they're getting notifications if they want them, and you could see how little or not little, and you can see all that stuff. And I got to tell you, for somebody who's been promoting Mosaik.io for the past 6 months, Mosaik.io, Sheila texted me immediately, and she's like, so am I wrong? Or like, you know, I feel like I'm excited about this. Like, this is proof of concept. Like everything we've been working on. You know, when you see a place that spends $500 million on theirs, and it's nowhere near as good as Mosaik, I got a copy of the demo. And I'm not downing, by the way. I'm giving congratulations to Compass. Good for them for doing it, and it's going to get better and better, right? When things are released at first, they're not what they're going to be a year from now. Bring it back to FyrstUp, right? But Mosaik.io is a million times better. Like, I saw what they offered. They don't even offer the post-close stuff that Mosaik does. And boy, was that proof of concept proven. And it was like, oh, client experience is the next wave in our industry. That's where we're going next. When we talk about transparency and the client being a part of the process and deciding how much or little they want to know and being able to log in and get a property impact report every time something happens in their area that impacts the value of their property, and just having that full experience, not just up to the close, but post-close, that was amazing for Mosaik. Like, literally, she sent me so many text messages with like mind blown emojis. And she's like, whoa, my God. Because between us doing that training, we put out some videos that have hundreds of thousands of views. We had some other things that happened. They have just, let's put it this way. If you haven't signed up for Mosaik yet, you might want to get on it, because your area is going to sell out, because they're only allowing a certain amount per market. That was such a proof of concept. That was such a jump in belief of like, oh, these major companies are spending billions of dollars to create what there already is, because that's where it's going next. Mm-hmm. And so I believe at some point, companies like Mosaik, when you see Compass releasing Compass One, Mosaik's probably going to get bought up by one of the major brands, or one of the they're going to say, we're not going to put $500 million into building it. This is already built better. We'll give you $200 million. Like, here you go. You know, whatever it is. And so that was really cool to see. And it was also kudos to Compass, because they did do it. Good for them.
Yeah.
Other companies have versions of it, and I think that's where everyone's going to go now. We're going to bring the client in for real. Mm-hmm. And on that same note, the other thing we saw that was so cool is everybody's scared to death when this settlement came down and all this stuff was happening. Commissions are going to drop. Commissions are going to drop. Now the data is out, and they not only didn't drop, they went up slightly. They stayed about the same or dropped a little on the buyer end. They went up on the listing side. And I know someone who predicted that 6 months ago, and said, in fact, that's a video we made and I never released. It's on my phone. I was like, 2 big predictions, and one of them was commissions are going up like that. They're not going down. They're not going, God bless you. But they're going up. Mm-hmm. And the coolest thing about the market we're in now, you don't have to agree with everything to take advantage of it, is that agents are now going to get paid what they're worth. And there are a lot of agents right now that are making less, no doubt about it, according to what they deserve and where their value is. Then there's agents making a lot more, because now they have to be able to communicate their value and overcome objections and understand. And other ones who used to just be good at being good looking and getting along with people and now they're being forced into awkward conversations where they have to talk about uncomfortable things, like thousands of dollars potentially being paid out, and what I do and what I offer and what the advantage of me is, or what and all these kinds of things. And now the data is coming out and commissions went up. And I'm like, hello guys, pros versus amateurs.
Didn't you have like John Mangus also on talking about like how they're structuring things too?
Yeah,
and
they upped what they're asking for on the listing side. They
side.
Absolutely upped what they're asking for on the listing side. Mm-hmm. You might have to pick him up. I think, he's coming. He went to Daddy first. I just want to be clear. He jumped up on my leg. Jumped up on my leg. No. What's that? What'd you say? Papa? I think he said Papa. But yeah, for anybody who's listening and not watching,
it's so funny.
100-pound dog just came over.
I'm in the process of selling my house.
5 pounds.
And I had a few agents reach out to me and say, "Are you paying the buyer commissions?" And I just say, "Hey, talk to my listing agent.
Put it on the offer."
But it's so funny. It's like, it's weird to even have to even think that.
Agents are so caught up right now for whether you're paying it or not, and like what agents need to start to understand and the way they need to communicate to their sellers, to their buyers. Look, great educators, great leaders, they're great simplifiers. And so in almost every single situation right now, the seller is still paying. It's just that the buyers are putting it on their agreement that they're sending in. They're saying this much is going to go towards. And so what buyer agents and just agents overall as a professional need to start to communicate to people is the idea that, hey, in most cases they still are. It's not guaranteed. It was never guaranteed, by the way. Like that was never. It's just a change in accounting. That's a great term. Just a change in accounting. The money used to go directly from the seller to the listing agent, the brokerage, I know guys, but I'm just going to keep this easy, the listing agent, and then the listing agent had the ability to co-op and give to the buyer agent when they came in. Still coming through the seller, it was just filtered into the listing agent and given off by them. Change in accounting. Now it's coming from the seller to the listing agent, from the seller to the buying agent. It's just a change in accounting. So don't get your panties all in a bunch and get all upset, and get all, whatever. Like, just adjust. You know, when the rules change, we're all playing on the same chessboard. You know, those that are going to win are always going to win. And that's just what it is. But we also had, I feel like I'm just running down a greatest hits right now.
I know you are. Like, what are we talking about next?
I mean,
letting you go.
NAR came out and clarified their
What'd they
position on
clarify?
real estate commissions and whether you can amend contracts.
Okay. Enlighten me.
So when this all went down with the settlement, we were told, although everybody was doing it, you could not do agreements specific to properties. You could not amend the agreement. If you showed up in a situation where you had a certain percentage with your buyer and then the listing was offering out more, you couldn't amend it to that higher percentage. And there's a lot of other things to this. But if you remember, I did a video on this and I talked about it on the podcast and I said, bull crap. Contracts are contracts. And if two consenting adults get together and decide that they want to amend something and they agree and they both initial, that is a legal agreement. For you to say that we cannot do that, this will go to the Supreme Court. You're treading on our rights. We are allowed to do that. The buyer and seller are allowed to amend. If a contract can be made, a contract can be amended. It's the same principle. And I was heated about that because I'm like, stop trying to control everything. Like, they're two consenting adults. Like, they can do that. And then this last week, the legal counsel for NAR came out. And they said, yes, you can do agreements for specific properties. Yes, you can do them for, one-day contracts or other ones, as long as it doesn't break your state rules. And then they said, well, can you amend them to go up to the price that the listing is offering? And they said, no, unless you believe that you did more for that client than what was anticipated, what you expected you were going to have to do, and you clearly communicate that, and then you both come to an agreement, change it, amend it, sign it, then you could do it under that as long as you can justify. In other words, yes. Because how do you try somebody with the idea of like, you thought you were only supposed to do this, and that's what you did? You don't know what they thought they were going to do. You don't know you don't know. So in other words, cover ourselves. Yeah, as long as you both agree and you whatever and you sign.
That's
yes, you can.
super interesting though. So you could make an amendment or amend something, but like, let's say I refuse to sign on the other side.
Then it's not an amendment then.
Exactly. And then that could stall an actual closing then, right?
No. If you
Is
were
that
in a
what you're
situation,
saying?
no, if you're in a situation where you're representing a buyer.
Yeah.
And you go in to make an offer on a house and you have, just for easy math, you have an agreement where you say, hey, whatever it is, you're going to owe me 2.5%, whatever. And you go into a listing and they say, we're offering 3%. And you say, hey, they're offering more. Can we amend this, for this property and have it go to 3%? If the buyer's agent or the buyer who's already signed that agreement at 2.5 says, no, I'm not going to amend and sign at 3, then you're just at 2.5. You already have an agreement. You're just not going to get the full amount that was being offered by the listing side.
So how far into the transaction could you do that?
At any time. But I mean, it would have to be. It would have to be before you actually went and made the offer on the property and had it under contract and had it. But you're going to know it when you go look at the property. If they have it displayed, that means you know it. That's why you're bringing it up to begin with. Now, I do think that there is something to the fact of like, you need to be able to justify why you're doing this and, all of that stuff. There's no doubt about it. But it's just funny because the real part that I'm trying to focus on right now is the idea of like, that we were told you can't. And I'm going, if you can make a contract, you can amend a contract. That defies the idea of what a contract is if you can't do exactly what made, if you can't do the other, then the first isn't valid either. If that doesn't count, then neither does that.
Yeah.
And we were going down this road where it was like everybody's trying to protect themselves and they're completely ignoring actual law or like the fact that we're in a free country. And I heard that. If you remember on one of the podcasts, I got heated and I'm like, if they stick with that, this will go to the Supreme Court. You cannot tell people who do this for a living, they do this to pay for their livelihoods, to pay, that I cannot do something that I have a legal right to do just because you're trying to protect yourself. I'm an independent contractor. I'll do whatever the hell I want to do, Yeah. And I don't know when we became a world where everybody's telling independent contractors how to do their job. That was kind of the point of being an independent contractor, right? And in fact, according to tax code, if you tell an independent contractor or mandate that they do too much, you're now in trouble and can be on, you can be at risk for having to pay their taxes because you treated them like a W-2 employee rather than an independent contractor. The whole point of an independent contractor, it says it in the name, independent contractor. And yet now we had a DOJ and other lettered organizations telling independent contractors how to do their job. And that is a dangerous road to go down. And let's hope those days are going to come more and more to an end.
Interesting. Thank God I'm not a realtor. I'm just kidding. No,
well, I mean, let's talk about something
a
little less controversial.
next? What's
Zillow
going on?
profits were up, which in the industry
God.
agents, okay? And it's so interesting because
We're on a roll. Here we go.
Zillow made a deal with, I almost said Netflix. Zillow made a deal with Redfin. Let me get them all mixed up. Around their rental properties. It's so interesting because Zillow profits were up over 17%, but their mortgage company was up over 85%.
Oh, wow.
Which is interesting. And their rental, I mean, all the rentals were way up, like all this kind of stuff, and they're attributing it to their super app, which does everything from beginning to end. We handle everything, down to title, down to mortgage, down to everything. And right now, they said the average Zillow user, 1 in 5, is using their super app. That's a lot, by the way.
That's actually.
And they said their
How
goal.
long has that been around?
It's in this last year that it
Past
came
year?
out, and they're hoping to get it to 75%. And I know a lot of agents can't stand this and they're ticked off by it, but I made a video about this and I meant what I said. We can get ticked off, or we can learn from it. I mean, how many times have you heard me say innovation, competition does one of two things? It eliminates you or it makes you better. And if you're the whiny kid in the corner every time your competition does something, you're going to get eliminated. You have to look at these situations, no matter how angry you are, no matter how much emotion you have with it, and you have to look at it and say, what do we learn from this? And what has Zillow done? Zillow has brought the consumer into every part of the business within their app. They've become integrated with everything. And so when you hear me talking about this client experience technology and integrating in with everything to do with the consumer, pre-close, post-close, from a vendor perspective, from a insurance perspective, from a property impact report, from a everything, what we learn from them is we need to figure out as an industry, as the first responders, the one who have first access to everything, how do we learn from what they're doing, and how do we integrate everything into what we're doing with them? Okay, how do we get our people more involved with our with our vendor list? So that whether we're a part of something and it's going to lead to a close or not, we're a part of it. Our job is not to make people buy and sell homes. Our job is to be there when it happens. How do we take those vendors from a profitability standpoint? And forget about RESPA and all these other things about what you can do and what they can pay for and marketing and all that stuff. Get around all of it and say, hey, you want to be a part of my vendor directory? Buy ad space on my site. Based on the level to which I am giving to you and you are, so like a title person pays more, a mortgage company pays more, somebody who's doing home inspections pays a certain amount, somebody who's doing house cleanings pays a certain amount, someone who does snow removal, landscaping pays a certain amount. Take that vendor directory, sell ad space on your site, and now your revenue that you're looking towards is not just whether you have a commission, whether you sell something, it's consistent regardless. And you're now getting paid for the resource that you actually are. Like, that's the way, that's what we have to learn from companies like Zillow is don't get mad, learn from them. They either eliminate you or they make you better.
Furious and they're upset and they don't like Zillow. All this stuff, but yeah, you're right.
Emotional.
Study your competition or what you don't. Yeah, what you don't.
What are
like.
they doing? The fact that you're talking about them means they're doing something right. No one's talking about competition that is falling off the face of the earth, doesn't matter, isn't being profitable, isn't a threat to them. They only talk about competition that is potentially a threat to them. And so we have to look at that threat and say, why are you a threat? How many years have we said your job is to do things every day that ultimately puts yourself out of business? So rather than let someone else do it, what are they doing? Let's figure out how do we put ourselves, how would I be putting myself out of business? Let's do it first, especially when you consider we are the first responders. We are the people that they deal with. We are, we're the ones giving the data to these places to begin with. And so let's not get upset. I mean, look, take a couple seconds, get upset. But at the end of the day, Let's figure out what we can learn from them. That's what the good ones
So
are
I
going to do.
pulled up on my friend ChatGPT over here, what their initiatives are for this year. Expansion on in-house market coverage. So their focus is going to be on integrated
You're talking
tools.
about Zillow right now?
Integrated tools for Zillow Showcase and virtual staging AI is what they want to push this year, which will increase coverage by 35% throughout the nation is what they're looking at. But yeah, their focus on rental and mortgage is their biggest focus.
Well, they just made that
made
that deal with Redfin, and then Redfin immediately laid off 400 people because now they're sharing resources and stuff. And look, from a business perspective, you got to respect it. But from a business perspective, you have to learn from it. Their stock is up over 60% this year in a down market.
They're doing something right.
In a down market, okay? And so you got to pay it. Guys, this is how winners think. Winners think different. Winners look at things and they don't get upset. They learn from it.
But they also went through a massive downfall.
Yeah.
Correct me if I was wrong.
Yeah.
When they had the Zillow buyer, buyer
Yes, they
agents.
got rid of that whole division.
I had agents that were a part of that.
Lost
or
billions.
I knew agents. Yes, but it was a whole learning curve that they had to go through. They didn't need that.
Pivoting.
They needed something else, right?
Yeah.
And so
they knew when to cut bait. They went, this
Absolutely.
was a good idea. It didn't work, whatever. We need to cut bait
that was
and
a
pivot.
massive fail,
Yeah.
for them. And
Yeah.
so it is good to see them rise up in this area. I have to say though, this whole virtual staging AI is something that I have talked to Sheila directly about. When was it? Maybe 4 or 5 months ago, about creating, because people are not creative when they walk into homes.
Right.
They can't look at a house when everything is dated
That's right.
and put in a really good offer on a home, knowing that they have what the potential is on the other side. And this
Didn't
whole
we just
virtual
say that about
staging
your place? There was a place that came up next to yours that was vacant, and you were like, "Babe, does that hurt me? Is that?" And I said, "Hurt you?"
Yeah.
Your place is because it's your stuff, but it's gorgeous. It's staged. People don't have that kind of vision
I would
to see what something will look like.
Yeah. If I could create another app, which I'm not going to, it would be that.
Well,
to
someday.
be able to walk, not right now, be able to walk in and literally hover my phone over the kitchen and select color tones and have it switch over to where I could be like, oh, okay, that nasty yellow, if it did look like this, and like this, and like this. And then literally almost like a Pinterest thing, and literally be like, great, I'm going to buy that paint now, or I'm going to send it to my contractor, whatever it is. It's literally a Pinterest for real estate, and it's all virtual staging and AI. That I could just go like this and
what
have
if you
a whole
picked
color
a
palette.
style before you went in?
Seriously.
You were like, I like farmhouse modern.
And they,
and now
they
you
could
pick
give
each
me
one in
different
each room,
layouts.
you go and scan it, and then it gives you different options. You look at it and you're like, that's awesome.
I think that's amazing. And like
Business idea.
if it wanted like physical improvements, it could take walls down if I wanted to. Stuff like that. But it would just make life so much more easier.
Yeah.
And it would allow people, especially like first time homeowners.
Yeah.
Or, I can't.
Flippers.
Yes. Have opportunities to create new things off of Pinterest
I agree
boards.
with you. That's a great idea.
Anyways, so I don't know what their idea is with the whole virtual staging AI, but that is something, because there's not a lot of people out there that could have that creative side of them, right? And that need help.
We own that idea. That's good.
Okay, so anyways, super cool that they're doing that. But you're right. People are very much like, Zillow.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
The great thing about tech, it's so lucrative. It's always changing and evolving.
Yeah.
Either catch up with it, embrace it,
Yeah.
or find something that that competes with what they're doing. But yeah.
Hey guys, I want to talk to you about an amazing real estate tool right now called Mosaik. If you want to take your people off of the portals where they're all hanging out and whatever and into your ecosystem, this is the tool that does that. This is a beginning to end, not a CR, it's not another CRM, it doesn't replace that, but it's a beginning to end system that really looks at the lifetime value of your client and looks at every part of that process and takes care of all of it in a way that's completely transparent. So yes, they've got search, they've got transaction coordination, they've got, even for us when we do things like we teach our students the Core 100. They've got the ability to put those people in there, track what's happening, do all of that in an amazing way. But probably the thing that I love about this more than anything is the transparency. In an industry that keeps talking about transparency, and usually when you hear something over and over again, it means that it's not being done at all. This is actually a transparent tool. This is the first tool that I've seen that actually brings the consumer into the transaction. And I think that is the next level of where we are going within this industry. You hear from so many buyers and sellers sellers that, oh, my agent didn't do anything, or I feel like they're not, and there's not this communication going on. This is the first tool I've seen, almost like the early days of .loop where you had that collaboration, but it was just for the document and the signature. They can do that with the transaction now, not only with the clients, but with the vendors, whoever it is, in an amazing way where they can see every step of what's going on. You can write notes to them back and forth. They can see every part of the paperwork and everything and the way that you decide to show it. It's really the next level of what we need to be doing from a consumer experience perspective, so they know what's happening, and more importantly, we drive that lifetime value back to you. So if you haven't yet, guys, this is a tool you're going to hear over and over again. You're going to hear me talk about it because I really think it's my role to not just define what the problems or solutions are, but provide the tools that will actually get you there. And while so many tools right now are just check the box and just say you have them, this is one yourself, your team, your brokerage. If you're not on it yet, you need to be. This is not the last you're going to hear about this. They're going to grow astronomically, and this is something you need to get on board with if you're going to operate. If you're going to be one of those people that really overcomes and is that top producer in your area, you've got to have the right tools in place, and Mosaik is one of those right now. So do yourself a favor. Go check out mosaik.io, mosaik.io. Again, mosaik.io. You won't regret it, guys. Send us questions if you do, but this is one of those ones that you're going to look back on and remember, amazing tool. Anything else? I know you wanted to talk about some stuff. What would you like to talk about?
Do you have any more real estate?
Well, now that we did a rundown. Okay. Sometimes I hear from people we don't talk enough real estate. So there you go.
I do want to mention though, a plug-in, like kind of real estate, I guess it is. The advance. I feel like the advance, although it's not like around the corner, I feel like it's around the corner. It's around the corner. Oh my goodness. So your advance is September 18, 19?
You better know you're running it.
I am.
Just look at me like you're confused. I'm going to ask you.
And I am like super excited. Just like looking at, right now I'm dealing with sponsors, which we will get out very soon.
It's about to be released. So if you want to be a sponsor of the advance.
Stuff fill up so quickly.
Yeah, you got over 1,000 people live, thousands more virtually. Yeah.
Last year was amazing. And literally we had to get a bigger space because it was standing room only.
Yeah. One of our vendors came to me. He's like, I made $400,000 at this event.
Yep.
Yeah. I know.
I was like, geez.
For a day and a half.
Now, what I didn't tell you is he is an OnlyFans model. Yeah, but it is true though.
No, it is. Yeah. It is. And so super excited about that. So you guys will be seeing some things on the advance.
We're going to be announcing some stuff soon. I'm working on content. Like I've had a flow of content coming out for the advance, like I've never had before. There is so much stuff going on, and just the way my head works, I've just been like kind of like focused in, and like there's a lot of stuff I want to say. Like I have so many opportunities to talk, whether it's at events, whether it's this podcast, whether it's social stuff I'm putting out daily. It is so hard for me to bite my tongue on some of the things that I'm thinking, like I'm actually thinking, but I have to hold them for the advance.
Yeah.
It's so freaking tough.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of cool things that I want to bring into that are just a little different. It's a little bit of a stretch that you and I kind of like chewing on still.
Yeah.
But very excited. What was that?
Yeah, exactly.
We are still going to have a live band after party.
Oh, that after party. Let's go.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was a good time.
Yeah.
That was a good time. I don't remember it, but that was a good time.
We have photos for that, babe. We have photos.
It's a good thing I don't remember it because I look ridiculous. I look ridiculous in that outfit. Okay?
Oh, but this theme this year, just wait.
God, she set me up for a blackmail party. That's what she did. Yeah,
no. No, I really wanted to talk about like mindset. And the reason why is because I just had this meeting with my team yesterday. Very collaborative, sitting down, like kumbaya. Let's see, like this is where we're at. This is where we're going.
Yeah.
Are we on board?
Yeah.
But we're in the middle of Q1. Q2.
I'm sorry, Q1?
Q1.
We're in the middle of a cute one? Is that what you just said?
We are in the middle of Q1.
It's about you, Tom.
I've never sold real estate in my life. I've operated a company. And so when you look at Q1, and the last thing actually I said in the meeting is like, let's close a deal, right?
Yeah.
Everyone is, I can't imagine not an independent contractor out there thinking, great, I'm halfway through February and I don't have one deal. Yeah. I actually had a girlfriend of mine, we went out last week, that said, I have not closed anything so far in 2 months, December, January, and now in February, and she's panicking. Okay, so like I want to talk about mindset for a little bit, and this is relevant to anyone, like real estate, me running a company, whatever it is, mom at home.
Yeah.
I want to think about I want to talk about what the world's mindset is, and I want you to give me your little spin on it. So what's Jared's mindset, right?
Here we go.
Yeah, episode JJ mindset.
Where's this gonna go?
Okay, so the world's mindset is winning is everything. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to leave it like that. And I want you to think a little bit and like, what do you have to say on that? What's your mindset?
I'm not sure that
on
is the world's mindset. I feel like the world doesn't try to win enough. The world I know gives out participation trophies and does, it's a different world. Now, I want to say when it comes to, let's just assume that's correct for a second, that winning is everything. I could get so philosophical with this and everything, and I'm going to try to stay away from that. What is winning? Like, you have to define what winning is first off. Okay, what is winning? Are you tiger blooding it like Charlie Sheen? Is that winning? Does winning mean that someone else is losing? What does winning mean? Like, that was the first thing that I'd say. For me personally, because you said, what's Jared's mindset? I would internalize it. I would balance it out with the idea that I don't believe in the whole, you can't lose, there is no, you win every time. No, we need to be driven. We need to understand what a loss feels like. When the Eagles come back and win the Super Bowl because they lost it before and they knew what that felt like, it drove them every single day. The reason why many of those players cried at the end is because they remember what it felt like to cry for a different reason at the end. So winning does matter, but so does losing, right? So first I'd have to define what is winning, but then me personally, if you ask me to give me my own take, once I defined what winning was for me, I would then internalize what it looks like to win. What can I control? Because sometimes you can't control winning. So if I define winning as doing this certain set of things on a daily basis, regardless of what the outcome is, then I've won. Well, now I feel better about that because I can control that. Like that is not subjective. That is not up for interpretation. I've won. Like, that's it, Mm-hmm. And so for me, no, winning is not everything, but it's also not nothing. I don't believe in that as well. If you don't believe that, winning matters, well, then that Super Bowl wouldn't matter to those people who lost before because they all at least had the experience, And so there's winnings on different levels. Every single person in that league has won. They're professional athletes. They get paid millions of dollars to be watched by other people, play a child sport. And so technically they've already won. And yet everybody except for one team lost. So which one is winning? Which one is losing? So again, we go back to define the win. There's different levels of winning, right? So for me, I say all of that. And then I say, for me personally, in my own life, wins and losses mean that there's an outcome, means that there's an ending, there's a finish line. I'm not done. So how could I have won or lost? Back to defining, am I winning in life? Am I winning a particular deal? Am I winning there's so many layers to that question, So for me, what I focus on is the ING. Mm-hmm. I find that the ING is what matters in everything. It's the ING. It's the continual. So winning, So every day I get up and I have an idea of what it is that winning looks like. I follow those things, and some days I win and some days I lose, but at the end of the day, I'm winning when I really look at it.
Mm-hmm. So how about the world's mindset on you are your result?
You are your result? What do you mean?
The outcome, whatever. That, you are your own result of whatever.
Meaning you get what you deserve type of thing?
Yeah.
What is your
mindset on that?
Well, yeah, I always say life is math, for every, fun Florida State party watching the Super Bowl with my son, we got to do a lot of disciplined days and running on treadmills and doing, that kind of a thing. But my thoughts on results. Results are completely uncontrollable. I think we focus way too much on results. Obviously, over time they matter, and when you don't have enough results over a given time period with enough of a sample, they speak to you and say, okay, maybe the process we're following is not working. But in the short term, it goes back to what I said for the first question. I'm way more focused on process than I am results. Again, how many years did I say to audiences, say to our students, say to our academy people, say to everybody, if you focus on results, you'll get frustration. If you focus on process, you'll get results. And so I think as an industry, when you ask about my mentality, people focus way too much on closings and not enough on the things that lead to closings, like conversations. And so the real focus has to be on process and not results. Because you can have someone who has the same amount of skill, says the same things, is just as personable, is just everything, talk to 10 people, go on 10 listing appointments and convert 8 of them into sales. And then the next month, they go on 10 appointments, 10 listing appointments, same personality, same set of skills, same set of everything, and they close 2. And did they suck that week and they were great, the month before? No. It's just process. You just keep doing it. And over time, you get at the end what it is that you deserve. You are your result, so to say. Mm-hmm. But you only become your result by ultimately focusing yourself on process. Mm-hmm. Process is all that matters. Over time, you look at results to see if you need to pivot, if you need to adjust, just like Zillow did. When you look at their program with the buying of homes, look, they had enough of a sample size. But for an agent, 1 month doesn't make an agent, 2 months doesn't make an agent, 6 months doesn't make an agent. If you're doing this for years and having no sales, the process isn't working. But consistency is undefeated. Like you gotta stick with the things you can control. Mm-hmm. Process. It's all that matter. If you focus on results, you'll get frustration. If you focus on process, you'll get results. Really that simple.
Yeah. Okay, world's mindset is the opponent is the enemy.
Opponent is the enemy. Oh, that's interesting. I feel like I go both ways on this stuff. There's some of that's you almost have to play in your head like a psycho, and make someone the enemy in order to push yourself. But at my core, I don't believe that.
The opponent is against me. Like they're against me. They're not for me.
Yeah.
Right? They're
sometimes,
not for me. They're
sometimes
not in support of me.
Yeah.
They're my enemy.
Okay, just because something's true doesn't mean it has to be your truth. So you might be up. I'm sure I've got other coaches and other speakers and other whatever that are nice to my face, hate my freaking guts. Look at me as the enemy. Look at me as taking work from them. Look at me as, okay. It's so interesting. I was just listening to Tony Robbins. He always says this thing where he goes, what does he say? Life is not what you experience, it's what you focus on. And it's the idea that like whatever you want, it's right there. And so when I hear something like that, where I say the opponent is the enemy, I don't care whether it's true or not true. All I care if it's true to me. And when I look at an opponent, I have to look at them as a worthy opponent because I'm even focused on them. It's back to that whole competition thing. Like if they're competition, it means they're doing something. Yeah, exactly. And I honestly look at those people as people to push me. I look at them as people to me to kind of like shine a light and say, where are they stronger? Where do I need to get better? What are they doing better? Where am I? I look at them as kind of like fuel in the sense to, as a driver, an internal driver. But I'm not rooting for their failure because I think the world is big enough for everyone. Perfect example is me and Tom Ferry had a, hour-long conversation in this kitchen 2 weeks ago on a Sunday morning. And like a lot of people would be surprised to hear that, and they'd be like, what? Like what, you guys, like, aren't you guys like arch enemies? Don't you guys kind of pass students back and forth? Don't you guys, the world's big enough. We're bouncing things off of each other. We're bouncing ideas. We're like, what are you doing there? I saw that, whatever it is. And so, for me, even the word opponent is kind of like, maybe if I'm in a boxing match, that's the enemy, but in the game of life in my head, I love people that I can even put that term on because they push me and they shine a light on my weaknesses. And you can learn something from everyone, and if they're in that position, you have to learn. It's like the Avengers, where like you have what's his name, the real bad guy, and he's getting the ring off of each one of them. He doesn't need everything, but he just what's his name? Thanos. He doesn't need everything from everybody. He just needs that one thing. When he puts them together, he's impossible. I kind of look at it like that. Bad example because I'm not Thanos, but like, I'm not a bad guy, whatever. But it's like every person has something I need that I don't currently have, and I'm like, I need to study them. I need to what's going on here. What's your superpower that I'm not aware of right now that I don't have naturally? And you kind of pick it up. And sometimes it's empathy, and sometimes it's a certain wisdom you'll see. Sometimes it's a certain quick-witted, like a way they respond to things. Sometimes it's decision making. Sometimes it's whatever it is, skill set. Sometimes it's whatever. But in a good way, I look at opponents almost like Thanos, like they have a ring I need to take. Only I don't look at it as like when Thanos takes it and now they don't have it. Now we both have it. you know, and that's kind of how I view that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you say about, like, to those that say failure is not an option? I mean, I hear that quite a bit. But what do you have to say about that?
Again, define failure. What's failure? Failure is quitting. That's it. Outside of quitting, there's no failure. You know, somebody asked me a question the other day on the Academy about the CRM. Like, learned a lot that we now use with FyrstUp, that we now use with whatever. So was that a failure? I don't have the knowledge I have today without it. So what defines failure, right? Now, the thing that I think ultimately determines that someone has not failed is that they're always in action. They're always moving. I think sometimes people think that there's always this question with people about when's the right time to move on, and the difference between quitting and pivoting. And they're like, how do I know the difference, right? And it's very much like when you have enough self-awareness and you're in the right place and your intentions are right and your heart is right, it's like having a stud finder against the wall, you know? And sometimes you try things that aren't necessarily you're doing them, but there's not that synergy. You can tell you're close, but you're not quite there. And some people, when they pivot, other people look and go, oh, they quit. And it's like, no, I'm just trying to find the stud. I'm close, but I'm not there yet. And sometimes what you have to do, it's like a young kid that's playing baseball. And they don't know what happens, but for whatever reason, it looks the same as everyone else. It's like Aaron Rodgers throwing a football. It looks like everybody else, but it comes out like a laser. You're like, what the heck is his arms moving the same? And then the ball, you know, just, you know, and baseball players are like that. You get these pitchers, I can move my arm the same speed as them, but they come out at 98 miles an hour and I come out, you know, at a local fair trying to hit 50, you know, and it's like, what the heck happened? And so sometimes what happens is that you're very close and you're trying to find where the gift is. You're trying to find where the synergy is. And so you'll have a kid who starts playing lacrosse and then he goes and plays football and then he goes and runs track and he goes and plays soccer and then all of a sudden he goes to baseball and the ball is just coming out and you're going, well, thank God he switched to baseball. Well, did he quit everything else? And it's like, no, he's stud finder. He's just trying to, it just didn't, I could tell I like sports. I'm an athlete. I'm whatever. The natural synergy hasn't occurred yet. And that's business for some people. And that's ideas for some people. You only quit if you're laying in bed every day not doing anything. As long as you're still in action with a certain level of self-awareness and such, as long as you're still in activity, you're still looking, you're still curious, you're still trying to find that spot, you got to look at yourself as a stud finder. You know, you're just looking for it.
So when you lose the curiosity, right? Mm-hmm. Like I guess when do you quit? That's another question.
When you die.
But like, I understand that, but like, obviously, right? Yeah. Tom's over there laughing like quietly.
Yeah, because you're not quitting, you're
launching. When do you quit? When do you know this is not for you? Like, hey.
That's not a quit. That's a pivot. That's my point. It's not
even
a
if
quit.
It's in a complete, like, different direction.
Pivot. You keep moving. You keep trying things. You know.
So you call that a pivot.
As long as you know you have good counsel around you. You're trying things. You have good self-awareness. You tried everything you could. You tried like whatever. Then sure, yeah, that's a pivot. You know, like sometimes you can't. It's almost like the focus on the right distance thing. Like you can't look at what you left behind. You got to look at what you're going to. You know, sometimes you're not quitting the last thing. You're launching the next thing, right? And that's what I mean by activity. Is that somebody quits when they just stop and they just go, I'm done. And they just, you know, they lay out and every day they got flies flying on their head and they're, you know, doing nothing. And, you know, they're the next star of, you know, My 800-Pound Mother. That's quitting. If you're really trying and you're trying different things and you're taking good counsel and you're making an effort and you're doing, but you just keep moving around, the mentality you have to have has to be, I didn't quit that, I launched that. Mm-hmm. It's on where you're going. Okay. Mm-hmm. And again, that has to do with the activity level and the level of self-awareness, having good counsel, having good accountability. But one of the worst things you can do, I say it all the time, like doing the right thing at the wrong time is the wrong thing. And so sometimes you do things for a while and it's the right thing to do and it's the right time and it was perfect and it's what it should be. But sometimes what we do is we hear an answer to something and we think that's the answer 10 years from now. You know, and it's like, well, no, I'm supposed to be, I know I'm supposed to. I had confirmation. This was whatever. It's like 12 years ago. It's a different time now, you know? Mm-hmm. And so that's why I said accountability and you know, wise counsel and having self-awareness and your heart being in the right place, your intention being in the right place. There's all these intangibles that let you know that you're not quitting something, you're launching another. And that person I can respect.
Interesting. Now, there was a quote that I was listening to on a
I was wondering if you're still
today.
part of the podcast here. You just
I'm just like
I finished the question,
admiring
she goes,
you. No, there was a quote. So I feel like there's like a lot of fear right now or uncertainties right now. I mean, there was just something on, who posted it? Maybe it was Inman today. That there was a lot of now price reductions happening, right? And I even said, I think I told you, Tom. I said, maybe I did. I said, that's right. Like, I'm trying to sell my house right now. There's like no movement. Yeah. Right. There's fear. And so,
you're less than 2 weeks in, but yeah.
Yeah. But still, I have that as a seller, not knowing the market. I don't understand it still.
Can we stop for a second and just cover that?
Yeah.
Fear of what? What's going to happen?
Just the price. I mean, like, it's priced too high. Days on market are now on there.
People and then what's going to happen eventually?
It will sell eventually for whatever. And I move on in life.
What are we afraid of?
Exactly.
I like literally I say this to you all the time. I'm like, babe, afraid of what? We're fine.
He always does that. But to the quote that I'm about to say, like, fear is a mile wide, an inch deep.
That's so true.
Right? And I had to chew on that for a little bit. I'm like, oh, at the gym, I was like, oh goodness, like, I'm going to write this down and say it. It is very true. Yeah. We look at the distance and like how far it might get from here to here.
Yeah.
But that one step, it's like, oh.
But once I brought you through that thought process, let's go worst case scenario. Oh my God, you have to drop it. Oh my God, we're only going to sell it for this and we only make this much money. Oh my God, it changes our life. Not at all.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Oh, well, there's an inch deep. What are we afraid of? Yeah. What are we fearful of? You know, what we're really saying in those moments is so good. It's so true. Is that your expectation is not being met. And I've said this before, right? It's like expectations are just landmines that we set up, you know, where we have an expectation of 10 different things and 9 of them happen and 1 of them doesn't. And we go, oh my God, it's not even that it's bad or wrong. It's that it wasn't the expectation. And so when we even walk down that road of what you're talking about right now, and we go to the worst case scenario, it's a great scenario. That's first world problems. Most people would love to have that. We don't, whatever. But what you're really saying is a fear of it not being this perfect scenario you were thinking of, when really the secondary is not that bad. It's just not what your expectation was. Well, that's really not that bad anyway. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we just have to walk through that process, right? That's what anxiety is. It's all these fear of unknowns and fear of what could happen and fear of, sometimes you got to walk down that alley to realize there's no bad guy going to jump out and jump you. Mm-hmm. It's like, so you just got to walk down the alley sometimes, And so that's the best way to do it, is start asking yourself questions. What if that, what if that,
yeah.
What if that? Oh, I'm still fine. I have nothing to fear.
So agents right now they're not getting any business right now, right? They're at the beginning of the year, maybe they pivoted to, or shifted over to a new brokerage, changed marketing plans, invested in coaching, all this stuff, and they're not physically seeing, or their bank account's not receiving a result of it. What would you tell agents right now, like in this position? They're in the middle of Q1. Everything kind of starts picking up kind of in the spring, going into Q2.
Yeah.
Like, what would you tell an agent?
I would tell an agent to sign up for coaching and start doing the things I'm telling you beforehand. So when I say things like it's an opportunity to be selling ads and getting revenue in other places, the reason I say that kind of stuff is because of a question like that. And I want to make sure everybody knows, like, when I hear this stuff, I don't know what she's going to ask here. So like, I'm just being very clear right now. I don't know this. But I'm telling you, like, that would be my answer. The reason I give people that type of advice to generate other revenue in other places is so that in the valleys, in the slow times, you don't worry. The reason why I can tell you worst case scenario, your house waits this long, you got to reduce a little bit and we sell it, but guess what? Even that profit doesn't matter, is because I've put us in a position where that money doesn't matter. So what you don't want to do is get into the place of where everything has to go perfect at all times in order for anything to be okay. And when you don't follow the advice of the past, whatever, then you pay the price now, right? And so for that person who's in that, it's seasonal. There's still people doing business right now, but it's not like this is some shock. Like when you look at when houses sell and we're in a seasonal time right now, and then it picks up like crazy, and then it goes. So the question's going to be heading into the year we're in, when business gets crazy and you've got income coming in, are you going to live like a baller, or are you going to keep living, in a way that you can save a bunch of money and you can be safe? when that time comes. Because I promise you, no expensive meal or pair of pants or new car is going to feel as good as feeling the freedom and the comfort that comes with being financially stable when things slow down. And so the time to listen was a year ago, and the time to listen is now. Okay, like that right now, when we talk about FyrstUp, now's the time to get on there and get your agents on there and get ready before the spring market. The time is now. The time was 12 months ago, but there's no better time than now, right? Someone said to me the other day, when's the best time to buy a home? 100 years ago. What does that question mean? Like, when is the best time to buy a home? Every home in America 50 years ago. That's what I'd like to do. What does that question mean in the context of timing? The best time to buy a home is whenever you're in the best position to buy the home. The answer to the question is, you can't control all of it. Buy the home. If you are in a place where you are ready to buy a home, buy a home. Because the answer to the question of when's the best time to buy a home, it's when they first started making them hundreds of years ago in this country. That's when you should have bought a home, okay? So what does that question even mean, okay? So to the person who's kind of slow and kind of, whatever, there's no better time like the present to start making good decisions and listen to wise counsel. Get a coach, get in the academy, start following the instructions, right? Don't wait till you're desperate. Don't wait till there's no better time than right now. Yeah. That's the time.
Cool. What is so you do coaching on the academy every other Monday, right?
I do it. So the academy we have one-on-one coaching in the academy, and then we have the first level is just virtual, where you have access to the courses that are on there, which, by the way, we're shooting courses right now to add a bunch more. I can't wait.
I was just going to ask you, what's your next course on? But yeah,
I've got a whole list and then I personally go live twice a month with our academy students. And we talk about many different topics, from gaining business to running a business to last week. I literally just went on there, talked about some stuff going in the industry, and did a Q&A.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and I'm just answering.
It gives you insight.
I'm answering business questions. I'm answering personal questions. People are asking me about my divorce, all the way down to running a business a certain way. And I literally was on a tour of Florida with my son. I took it on a bench at a truck stop. I mean, I was waiting for someone to kidnap a kid behind me. Like, it looked like one of those types of places. And luckily that didn't happen, but a dog did take a crap right behind me. Okay, so that did happen. Expected, okay? But yeah, we got that, and we have an app and everything. And honestly, the lowest level academy is $99 a month. Like, what are you doing? Get in the academy. We give you discounts on other stuff just by being a part of the academy. It's worth it just for that. And now we're launching in the next couple of months here. We're launching a secondary level. So you're gonna have one-on-one. You're gonna have the floor level you come in, which is the virtual stuff. And then we're gonna launch a level where we're gonna have coaches and others teaching quarterly trainings on whether it's team building, real estate finances, recruitment, whatever it is. And every quarter, the participants are gonna have the option to go to new topics.
Oh, fun.
To make it like the world we live in, which is like Netflix on demand. You know. Anyway, we weren't planning on talking about that either, but I probably don't do enough to promote coaching and all that stuff because I do so many other things. But
the academy is very exciting. Also, it's a community of its own. So you have people on there from all different areas.
It's so cool.
The country,
all over the world, all over. Yeah, you can translate it into 100
there.
different languages, and
it's really neat.
Yeah, very cool. So, with that being said, we have Valentine's dinner.
We do.
And this went a lot longer in that back half than I was expecting, but great questions, babe.
I think people would appreciate that.
Big up, making that mind tick. You know what I'm saying? All right, guys, we love you guys. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you leave a comment if you have anything to say about the episode. A lot in this episode. I mean, a lot in this episode. I'm hoping to see some of you guys live. I'm doing a lot of events coming up, so I'll see hopefully some of you guys live. Make sure you go to connectwithjared.com. Make sure you go to jaredjamestoday.com/academy if you want to get in on that with a one-on-one coach, or just get in at the entry level there. What were you going to say? Go to FyrstUp, FYRSTUP, FyrstUp.com. If you're a broker, get your people on there.
Broker, and then keep a lookout for the advance stuff.
Advance is coming, guys.
Sponsors, it's coming up.
I'm coming to a city near you, and then I'm coming to Orlando for 2 straight days of training and teaching and all that kind of stuff, and I can't wait. So we love every one of you who listens. Most of you, not all of you. That was a lie to say everyone. Some of you are a little annoying. You message us. But 99% of you, we love. Yeah. Okay?
There we go.
All right, guys, we're out. Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.